Bigfoot, Dogman, Chupacabra, the Rake, the Wendigo, Goatman. Of the cryptids I've spoken of so far, only 2 have really captured my imagination, and of those 2, one was never purported to be real, and the other is a centuries-old icon of cultural anxieties and morality. So, you know, not your typical cryptids, but today is different. Today we're looking at my personal favourite cryptid, one created in the same decade as Bigfoot, but with more substance and allure. One with a small, local origin, but global interest. And one with the lore and depth of a modern creepypasta, but without the burden of implied fiction. Mothman. Originating in, and largely staying around the area of Point Pleasant in West Virginia, the Mothman is a little more supernatural than its grounded, ape-like cousin Bigfoot, having allegedly caused those that have viewed it to have frightening hallucinations and visions of the future. And on a larger scale, the presence of a Mothman is said to be a harbinger of tragedy, likely originating from the Silver Bridge collapse in late 1967, shortly after the creation of the Mothman, which claimed the lives of nearly 50 people. And what the fuck have you done, Bigfoot? Mothman, which, funnily enough, is not a moth by most eyewitness accounts, is not the first of its kind, however. Winged creatures that bring with them dark premonitions can be found in several other, older cultures. For example, in the legends of my own Celtic home, which brought the death-warning Banshee into its own mythos long before Point Pleasant had Mothman. The actual origin of the creature itself is unknown, with some attributing it to some kind of radioactive or chemical anomaly, others claiming it is of extraterrestrial descent, and some even considering demonic or angelic origin. And do you know why I love this cryptid? I've given you all of this information without once describing what it looks like outside of having wings, but chances are you have a picture in your own head, be it one of the hundreds of artistic interpretations online or your own assumed image. So with the supernatural elements, dark parallels to other folklore beings, ominous potential origins, and an incredibly wide variety of potential physical descriptions, Mothman must be the basis for many horror games. Right? You find yourself in an everyday scenario. You're taking the trash out at, like, 3 AM through a small park to the lone neighborhood trash can. There is an ominous feeling in the air. And then Mothman comes out of your trash can and annihilates you. We've all been there. Finally, somebody made this situation into a game. Mothman. Not gonna lie, this game is a little on the short side. My recording file for this was 3 minutes and 40 seconds long, and that contained 2 entire playthroughs. Here are the highlights. There's some benches, a spooky noise that has no apparent source, mystery meat rain, blood puddles, which is just the mystery meat rain again, and Mothman. Mothman just kinda zooms towards you to catch you. On the upside though, you are playing as some kind of Olympic strafe champion because you can outmaneuver Mothman at all times without much concern. If it does reach you, you wake up. Aha! It was all a funny dream. Until it isn't. And then the game just kind of ends. But if you manage to elude the frightening winged wretch and reach your apartment building, you wake up again. It was still a dream, and he still gets you. I think it's pretty cool that the Mothman appears in a dream before actually murking you, because that plays into the whole dark premonitions aspect of the mythology, but overall, I feel like the Mothman is a little unnecessary here. Like, yeah, you get to put its name into the title and that's sweet, but not much else Mothman-y is at play. It may as well have been Minor 49er chasing you. I hope you all get that reference. So, I guess let's move on to the next game. Full disclosure, this is kind of a Slender clone. Not quite, because there are more objectives, but in practice it's a move around spooky maps looking for hidden things while being pursued by a Gronton type beat. But don't let that dissuade you. This game is fucking fascinating. Starting even on the menu, we are launched into a new world of possibilities. Just listen to this majestic score as we are serenaded with pictures of bleak industrial life. Boppin'. Then, when we attempt to begin, we get a whole character customization screen, where we are asked our name, our apodo. Oh, Opido. This is actually a double threat because regardless of what this esoteric font actually says, I still don't know what it means.
Apodo.
Then we are told that we are to turn on all of the lights and electricity in this house, before being warned that there may be something else in there, and we shouldn't try to attack it. It sure is useless. Also, we are Soviet, if the liberal use of the word comrade and this hilariously Russian font is to be believed, which brings Mothman to a whole new region. Anyway, enough of the light-hearted preamble. Let's get serious and dive into the Mothman Asylum. Excuse me? What? Well, it appears that we're dealing with more than just a strangely bouncy Mothman. There are also worm men on the ground that do absolutely nothing to you. With that revelation, I'm certainly going to be on my toes for the rest of the experience. The audio certainly contributes to that, as sometimes it just shuts off. And sometimes it just switches ambient tracks, for no apparent reason. Other highlights include these mannequins clearly having some kind of heated discussion, the Mothman being stuck in the wall for almost the entire game after the initial chase,
I got to get out.
the damaged blood effect not covering the whole screen, and this little mannequin boy just kind of doing his own thing. A bright spot in the chaos of this game was the excellent selection of creepy paintings on the walls. This one was far and away my favorite. It has a little goblin guy. Oh, what's he doing? I eventually gave up playing the game, half after I realized the Mothman was not going to chase me anymore, on account of him being phased into the Shadow Realm, and half when I encountered this piano puzzle which was required to turn on an electrical breaker. That was my personal breaking point. I was not lying when I said this game was fascinating though. It's a puzzling experience all around, but this video is about Mothman. So, how is Mothman done? Well,
I got to get out.
yeah, let's move on. Oh, wait, we can't. We have covered the two biggest Mothman games that I could find on itch.io. But what about Steam? Nothing. Game Jolt? 2. One of which looks like the most generic indie horror experience on Earth, and the other is a demo/prototype for a 2D platformer. There are next to no readily available Mothman horror games on the planet. In a world where we have a priced Goatman game, we do not have a single paid Mothman game and barely any free ones. What the fuck? Am I unique in my enthusiasm for the Mothman? Well, clearly not, because there are Mothman games. They're just all dating sims and visual novels. Now, I have absolutely nothing against dating sims or visual novels. The game After School Murder Club, which is available on Steam and itch.io, and is also heavily influenced by my own Discord server, is a recent example of one I absolutely adored. But fuck me! Mothman? Mothman dating sims. Why are they so abundant? Mothman Pro Skater. Romance game. Mothman 30J. Romance game. Mothman Rides Again. 2D skating game. Okay, that one's an exception. Date That Mothman. Romance game. Lesbian Mothman Hunters. Romance game. Ah dang, Mothman Won't Move Out. Mothman RPG? I kissed Mothman behind the Arby's. Romance game. I had a one-night stand with Mothman, but now I want something more. I think you get the point. Why? Why is the Mothman a target for love? Is it because of its beautiful eyes and washboard abs? Maybe, but holy shit! The potential for horror, or at the very least mystery, is completely and utterly overshadowed by the existence of obscure romance games. I'm by no means saying that these games shouldn't exist, nor should the developers be dissuaded from making any more moth-based romance simulators, but by God, what I am saying is that the rest of game developers as a whole are really letting the side down. Y'all have a beautiful urban legend to work with, and so few have actually taken the chance to do anything with it. This video is significantly shorter than I wanted it to be, because when I set out the plan for Cryptid Month, and yes, there was a plan, it just went poorly, this video was going to be the grand finale, because this is my all-time favorite cryptid. But no, it can't end on this note. I tried finding more genuine horror games for this list, but I couldn't really find any worth talking about. I even tried to install a Mothman mod into GTA San Andreas as a way to pad this out a bit more and do a funny, haha, remember when people thought cryptids were in this game? Lamau, hee hee, now they are, for the 6 people that would get that, but no. That game is a bitch to mod and kept crashing, plus I'd have to play through it to the point of actually unlocking that area, and that's just not gonna happen if the mod doesn't even work in the first place. If only there was a game that embraced the Mothman, even as a small element of a much larger game. One that perhaps even takes place within the Mothman's home of West Virginia. One that maybe allowed the player to interact with different elements of the folklore and whatever horrors exist within it. If only... Oh fuck.